Retirement is supposed to be about rest, relaxation, kicking your feet up, maybe having your toes in the sand, maybe sitting on your porch telling kids to get off your lawn. I don't know. But nearly half of the baby boomers have nothing saved for retirement, or at least very little. So the reality is they're going to have to move back in with their kids or work every day until they die. Now, if you're working on something fun, something you like, one of your passions that you were putting off in order to take care of your family or something like that, okay, that's fine. But a lot of people, they just want to chill. And let's be for real. Do you really want to go back and live with your kids? And do they really want you to come live with them? I don't know. Maybe you're not trying to be a burden. So you need a place that you can live with a small pension or a little bit of retirement. And I know a lot of people's retirement and pensions, it's just not that much. And if you were just going to live off of that, they would have you eating canned beans and cat food every day. But today, we're looking at the 10 best states for people to retire on Social Security. All right, now let's get it. Number 10, North Dakota. But only if you can handle the cold. North Dakota and South Dakota, I just made a video about they should basically be the same state, but North Dakota is just a little bit cheaper and a little bit colder. Now, the healthcare numbers are actually pretty decent. Their outcomes are solid when you're going to get something checked out, so that's always a plus. But yeah, North Dakota is one of those states where the weather kind of dominates all the conversations. Yeah, I'm from the East Coast, so, it's hot in the summer, cold in the winter. Spring and fall are the best seasons, they're in transition, not too hot, not too cold. But in North Dakota, just picture that movie titled The Day After Tomorrow, where they're burning all the books in order to make a fire, and if you stay outside for too long, you're just gonna freeze to death. Yeah, it's like that. However, the cost of living kind of makes up for it. The average home price is $260,000, and the average rent is about $1,000. So, if you can handle the cold, you're gonna have a 2-bedroom for $1,000. And the cost of living index is 91.9. And how I look at it is 95 to 110 is going to be about average. Anything below 95 is going to be cheap. Anything above 110 is going to be expensive. For instance, New York is 123 and California is 144. So as long as you stay inside North Dakota, you're probably pretty good. Number 9, Iowa. Now, Iowa is a great place if you're on a budget. And it is an underrated state in my opinion. It has friendly tax policies and the healthcare is decent. Now, Iowa is boring. Like, really boring. Like, absolutely nothing to do. Have you heard of as boring as watching paint dry? Well, Iowa is about as exciting as watching corn grow. So, there you go. Now, I only know one person from Iowa, and they left as soon as they could. Now, if you're retiring, then it's a great place to go back to. The rent for a 2-bedroom apartment is going to be $1,200 a month, and the average home price is around $220,000. The healthcare is pretty good too, and the cost of living index is 89.7. There's hardly any crime, but that's because there's hardly anything to do. Number 8, Kansas. Kansas is cheap and flat, like really flat. Like you're gonna drive for hours and hours and hours and never see one mountain. I guess it's fine if you've lived a long time, you've already seen a bunch of mountains, you just don't really care that much. Now the average rent is gonna be about $1,300 a month, and the average home price is about $230,000. And the cost of living index is 87. So yeah, I told you it was cheap. Number 7, Kentucky. Kentucky is cheap, but it is cheap for a reason. They don't have the best healthcare. You might go to a facility and it won't be state of the art. Now, if you want to buy a home, the average cost of a home is going to be about $208,000. Now, if you just want to rent a 2-bedroom apartment, it's going to run you about $1,400 a month. And the cost of living index is 93. So in my opinion, it's a pretty good state to retire. Now it's a plus that they don't tax pensions. However, don't expect the nicest things, but if you're close enough to the city, then you'll be able to get by. Number 6, Ohio. Now Ohio is like a mix between a Southern charm kind of state and a hard-nosed, rustic, Midwestern, put your hard hat on, blue-collar kind of state. Now they love their teams, they love their football and their basketball. The football team hasn't been good for quite a while though. Now the people in Ohio are nice. They are close-knit, so if you double-cross them, then they can get mad. So I'm just thinking about the letter that the Cleveland Cavaliers owner Dan Gilbert wrote to LeBron when he left for Miami. LeBron turned his back on the city, and Dan Gilbert let him have it. But LeBron did come back and win a title for Cleveland, so I hope all is forgiven. LeBron's from Ohio. However, when LeBron left, the economy left as well. Now, if you're renting, you're going to pay about $1,300 a month. And the average home price is about $230,000. And the cost of living index in Ohio is 94.2. Which is why the state of Ohio is a great place to retire cheaply. Number 5, West Virginia. Now, West Virginia is one of the cheapest places in the country, but it is in the mountains and you will be isolated. And if you need some healthcare, then it'll be a little bit of a drive because the healthcare is not that great. Now, as far as the weather, it's going to be some pretty harsh winters. Now, not as bad as North Dakota, but because it is in the mountains, it gets pretty cold up there. The average home value is $167,000, and the rent for a 2-bedroom apartment is going to be about $1,100. And the cost of living index in West Virginia is 84.1. Crazy. So yes, it is the cheapest state as far as housing. Now, if you can put up with the weather and don't mind the isolation, then West Virginia might be a great place for you to retire. Number 4, Mississippi. Mississippi is dirt cheap, but it is tax friendly. You won't pay taxes on any retirement. The property tax is one of the lowest in the country. Now, if you're relatively healthy, then it's going to be great for you because the healthcare system is not the greatest, which is kind of a theme with these places to retire. It's like they offset their leisurely lifestyle with just not going to the doctor, I guess. So this is one of the poorest states, so their infrastructure is just not going to be that good. The roads are not great, the parks might be run down, but you can get a lot of land there. The average home value in Mississippi is $178,000, and the average rent price for a 2-bedroom apartment is about $1,380. And the cost of living index is 87.9, which is slightly lower than the next place on my list. Number 3, Alabama. Now, the cost of living is very low, but the humidity is very high. Now, if you like football, roll Tide. Now, Alabama is one of those places where you can relax, kick up your feet, sit on your porch, and obviously sip some sweet tea. Sweet home Alabama. Now, the cost of living is going to be very low. However, it's low for a reason. If you're close to the cities, the crime is going to be pretty high and your amenities are going to be pretty low. Now, if you stay out of some of the major places after dark, I guess, it's probably a great place to retire. But you can get some cheap land. The average home value is about $230,000 and rent for a 2-bedroom apartment is about $1,300. And the cost of living index is 88. But the retirement community in Alabama is big. So if you still like people, Alabama is going to be the place to go. Number 2, Louisiana. Louisiana is known for its great food and great culture, and it also has great walkability if you're in the right areas. Now, as far as the weather, it might get the occasional flood, but after Hurricane Katrina broke the levees, there hasn't been any major disasters for quite a while, so I think you're in the clear. The average home price in Louisiana is about $200,000, and the average rent price is going to be about $1,500 a month. And the cost of living index is 92.2. Now, as far as the healthcare, it is going to be one of the lowest in the country, but if you can get past that, you'll have a great time retiring in Louisiana. Number 1, Oklahoma. Now, I know this is in Tornado Alley, but this is one of the lowest housing costs in the country. There's no tax on Social Security, so you can afford a 2-bedroom apartment for about $1,400. And the average home price is about $206,000. And the cost of living index is 85.7. Now, Oklahoma is a hidden gem. Now, I know everybody's moving to Texas, but if you go just a little bit further north to Oklahoma, you're going to get some of the best wide open land. And as far as food, has some of the best barbecue that I've ever tasted. And Oklahoma City is one of the most underrated towns in the country. It has nice culture, a nice walkability, and great people. And because you're in one of these southern states, you're not going to get that much snow. So if you hate snow, then come to Oklahoma. Now, do you agree with these rankings? Let me know in the comments what I got right, what I got wrong, and I'll holler at y'all later.